Ladies and gentlemen, this is 99 miles per hour with Perci Garner, and we'd like to thank our sponsor, Your Pizza, the finest pizza anywhere. But if you don't like pizza, which everyone does, they got wings, sandwiches, subs, and of course salads for those of you who like to be healthy, not like me. Also, I would like to mention the network that allows me to have this podcast, and that is the Get Level Podcast Network. There's plenty of other podcasts, a lot of content to get through. And also, go check out the website, getlevelpod.com. It'll be up somewhere around here. Go there, check out all the websites. You can also listen. If you don't want to watch the whole thing, you can listen audible without any interruptions. And then also, to the Rainbow Connection. I am the new executive director there, and we are having our telethon that we have every year. And we're expecting big things, even though in these tough times, we know the community can always come through. That is March 7th, starting at 11 a.m. And then also my scholarship fund, also trying to raise money for a Dover student in these hard times to get some help for them to attend college.
Welcome to me casa, make yourself at home, do your do. Welcome to my pad, this your lab, go create your move.
What's good, everybody? Welcome to 99 miles per hour. I'm your host, Susie Liberatore. And we have a special guest today. I'm very excited about today's show. Today is going to be about stuff that I'm interested in, so that's why I'm excited. We're going to be talking about, I guess, what Josh does for a living, besides the podcast, and that's a lot of, digital branding. A lot of people, I think, in this county aren't very good at it. So we're going to bring in someone that's not from this county to talk about it and show us about social media and stuff like that. So without further ado, our guest is someone I met and when I was working for ComDoc in Cuyahoga Falls, and I was trying to get to know a lot of people up there and network, and she was very helpful in that manner. And, she reached out and we got to talking, and I was like, I want to have more women on the show, and especially people who are very, very knowledgeable about certain things. So without further ado, I want to introduce Susie Liberatore. Did I say that correctly?
You did, yeah.
Thank you. So we did have some technical difficulties, so she's hanging in there with us. But just how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing good. How about yourself? Thanks for having me on.
I'm doing great. I had some Reese cups today. CVS is having their 50% off Halloween candy, so I'm excited. Got a lot of sugar in me. But I'm excited to, talk about some things that I feel like I kind of want to learn about, because now being the executive director at Rainbow, I'm in charge of all this stuff. So, I'm really I'm going to pick your brain today and get some information. Oh. Yeah. So I know that you do a lot of, branding for businesses, commercial style. I don't know if I could come to you myself, could I, to get personal branding, or do you stick for more commercial stuff?
You could do both. I mean, we do a lot of varieties. So we can do for corporations or personal branding. It's anybody who really needs that visibility and cohesiveness for their brand.
Gotcha. Okay. Awesome. So how did you just get into this? Was it something you're like, you know what, I want to get into marketing, and then obviously the way the world has gone now, it's a little bit different, or was this, something kind of you just pivoted to that you figured out later in life? You're like, I like doing this.
So no, I actually kind of have always been artistic and knew what I wanted to do, but I always doubted myself. I grew up when I was artistic. I was always doing painting, photography, music, all that stuff. Love it all. And I went to college and got a bachelor's in fine arts after I realized that's what I wanted to do. Of course, taking some BS classes. And then straight out of college, I was able to work at an agency. It was like a startup agency. So it really helped me to see the agency feel before I worked in the corporate, but the agency was just so much better because you had so much more creativity and so much more opening the doors, whereas corporate was a little bit more closed. But what I did was I found the gap between corporate and agency world and kind of brought it together into my own business eventually after I got enough experience with all of that.
Nice. And you went to a place I'm familiar with. I was looking at your LinkedIn profile, and I wasn't aware of this, that you went to Austin Peay, correctly?
Yes.
So I played baseball against them in college, And one of my friends had some friends on that team, so I got to know some of those players. And but yeah, where is Austin P again?
In Clarksville, Tennessee.
Okay, Tennessee. That's what I thought, but I didn't want to be wrong. So, but that's great. So you had a degree, fine arts. I'm actually taking some classes like I get this semester. I'm taking digital photography. So I'm excited about that. But I would say when you were getting that degree, were you taking classes that had to deal with social media, or was it just something that you kind of took those skills that you learned in class and kind of pushed it that way, even though you were probably mainly focused on traditional marketing?
So in college, there was not probably a lot of social media. We did a lot of like fine arts, so to speak. Like we had to do so much fine arts, and then we did some digital stuff, but it was not anything like social media necessarily. Well, I might have done more marketing, but I did do some marketing classes, but there just wasn't those classes at that time. It might have changed by now, but they had so much like, I mean, I still had to take regular photography where I went in the darkroom and stuff. I mean, that was part of the degree, and I don't think they would ever change that because they still like to have that so people can understand how it's evolved and all that. But I guess I'm a learner by nature then, because social media kind of like wasn't around for a while, and it keeps growing and growing and growing. So, I mean, I've always gone to things, research, figure out how to make things work. But I also think when I was in the agency world, I saw a lot of ways for the social media to kind of work and stuff. But it's changed so much since I've been there that I kind of have pivoted, I guess, into that sense to be able to learn and grow with it.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of dropped the ball on the social media thing when I started my professional career. You know, people of interest, athletes and stuff, they're kind of flourishing now. A lot of draft picks are getting, you know, notoriety, obviously, from their play, but then they're also showing their personality off the field with their social media pages and profiles. And I kind of brushed it off, you know, 2010-ish. It wasn't as big as it was now. I didn't see it, so I didn't really put much effort into it, and I do kind of regret that. But now it seems it's a must for business, 100%, even if it's, you know, a personal business or a big business. You know, all the big companies are all on social media, and they know it's something that has to happen, and you kind of got to adapt. Now, question for you: do you think TikTok is what word do I want to use? A valuable resource for businesses to get out there? Or is that more, you know, I feel like most of the times social media in its early stages is more like fun and kind of just being silly. And then eventually once it matures, then they realize how many users are on there and, hey, this is how we reach out to this crowd. Would you agree with that?
I am not a fan of TikTok, to be honest. And I hear so many people like saying, oh, it's another thing. I mean, it's always like one of those things where things can grow and grow and then they fall off. I think it's probably not realistic because Instagram can pretty much do everything TikTok does. Nobody kind of understands the value to TikTok. It's more fun and it's more like creative for like your friends and stuff, like Snapchat almost.
Yeah.
I've never really used Snapchat for business. It's just they're too fun, right? Like they're not meant to necessarily have it. Whereas if you wanted to do those animation videos or have some type of dancing in it, you can do that with Instagram Reels or Stories, or just create a video on your own these days.
True. And I think Instagram is something that I'm going to be focusing on and kind of straying away. I'm still going to have Twitter as a thing, but can you talk about Twitter? Is that something that, you know, you think you use for your clients, or is it something that is kind of overlooked now because it's more of just, you know, people just trying to say negative things?
Well, I mean, Twitter is good if you're in PR, if you are blogging, if you are in the media end of things or want to reach that large audience. But like small business owners, they probably don't really need Twitter because you're not going to reach local people that way.
Yeah, and I would say small businesses probably aim for more Facebook, Instagram, which works great because you do one post and it can be on all of those, and I love that. So, and I guess I want to bring up, okay, so we talked about, you know, social media and, you know, the fine arts and photography and stuff like that. one aspect that you kind of, because I was talking to Josh about this, is so I was like, Susie kind of does similar to what you do, website, all the anything branding, website, all that stuff. But then she has, something added to the equation that would make things a little bit more difficult. And I guess we talked about parenthood and stuff like that, but we never talked about situations that would make, the typical career or a little bit more difficult. And, you said you're a single mother. Well, I'm not in the show. To me, you said that. How has that impacted or maybe driven your business whenever you had, realized like this is something I want to do, but I have to, obviously carry this load as well?
So once I got divorced, I kind of made that jump to do my business even more full time and kind of do all of the things. And then obviously having the single mom came along with it. There's so many challenges, of course, but I feel like at the end of the day, it gives me that flexibility that I have and that determination and drive that I have so that my son can see it happening all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I see it, and I don't know if this example works, but I know there's so many athletes that some people that I admire, some athletes that are younger than me. A lot of their story is, they see their mom working hard, or they see, someone in their family, grandmother, grandfather has been a hero in their life, and they kind of inspires them. I mean, a lot of times people overlook parents and they look like they might have posters of, famous celebrities and stuff on their wall. But when it boils down to it, when you're setting an example in the home, showing that you're working, it definitely, obviously your son is probably, how old is your son?
So he's 5.
Okay. Well, then he started because I have a 7-year-old son, and they pick up on stuff. So he's already in that stage where he's like, oh, mommy's a grinder out here. So
mommy's always working. That's probably what he says. But it's not true. I do take time, but no. And he's also autistic, and he's nonverbal. So the challenge is always like making him understand and being able to communicate as well. Like saying, okay, mommy needs to work, or whatever, like just kind of coordinating with him and letting him know I'm here for him at the same time, but I'm also working. And I try to be, like I said, I try to be really time sensitive about my schedule as well, so that I can have that time with him. Like at the end of the night, like he just loves to sit on the couch, at least cuddle or give me hugs or run around or jump around. So he wants that time with me, so I don't like let anything be booked at that time. So it's one of those things where you really want to be able to have that time management. You need it.
Yeah, and I would say with your line of work, flexibility is key, but it's not like you're always posting or helping your clients 9 to 5, So, I mean, I don't know the peak times to post yet on social media. I might have to ask you about that later. But, and I'm trying to, work with that and learn, because I know that you have to look at your audience, and a lot of these social media apps have insights to help you to see who is watching, what demographics you have, and that's all great. And I feel like a lot of people don't take advantage of it, but that's something I'm gonna be diving into in 2021. But that, just thinking about that, and I don't want to harp on the the challenges you're facing being a single mother, and then you're on top of that, your son being autistic. But it's just something I could admire, from a distance. And obviously I was not aware, even though entering this episode. So that was news to me.
Oh, I thought you knew that.
No, I did not. But that's something that it's just it's a testament to, and I'm like extra excited to have you on the show, just because I love having, people on that can, help and inspire other people. Now, someone who's like, I want to, build websites for people, they really have no excuse.
Right, totally 100%. You can do anything. Like literally, I've never thought that you could overcome so much in life and be able to do it, but one day you just have to wake up and do it and just not look back, right? Like and keep your circle full of positive people and just do what you got to do and get it going.
Now, I don't want to get too much into the weeds, into the nerdy stuff when it comes to designing websites and stuff like that. I know there's, WordPress out there, but then me trying to be very cautious about how, me working at a small nonprofit, I don't want to, overextend on certain things because I'm excited about technology and stuff, but not everybody is, and I have to appease certain people. So I want to make sure I'm making the right steps
Sure.
How now? Obviously, you can when it comes to designing websites, you can do the whole shebang. Or I'm learning resources like Wix and ShareSpace. How do your services, I guess, differ from those who really don't, I guess, are afraid or have no knowledge of that stuff, and they see a commercial or a YouTuber saying, "Oh, I use ShareSpace or whatever." How are your services differ, and how could we like have advantage from someone who actually knows what they're doing?
Yeah. So, I mean, when you go to a website from any of those places, it's especially like GoDaddy or the smaller ones, like it's just so cookie cutter and not perfect and pretty. Like our big thing is we like branding consistency. We like to make sure that things flow and look good and can showcase that throughout all the platforms, not just on the website. But the other big thing is we don't really use templates. If we do use templates, we completely kind of change it. It doesn't look the same ever.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when we do websites, it's totally customized so that it has that modern look to it, and it's not just cookie cutter and we just slap stuff on and just plug the content in. Anybody can plug content and graphics in. It really takes it to that next level.
Yeah, and I've seen that just work, like messing with it a little bit. I have never done a plan or anything like that, but I've just messed with it a little bit, and right immediately, just from jump, I'm like, oh, I can't move this here. Like you feel bottled, and I mean, for someone out there, it may be great, but for most businesses, maybe a personal website, ShareSpace would be good but for business and corporations, it's something that I don't think you should be using, for one, and for two, it's just when you're building and growing your business, you have to be focused on certain things, and when you're looking, and you're like, okay, and a lot of people want to do business the way it's been done for however many years they've been doing it, but today, a website and attracting certain audiences, people are going to websites now. They're not just word of mouth, and it's not old advertisements, on the radio or whatever. Those are still great, but you have to present yourself in a professional manner, especially on a website, especially with the younger crowd when they're coming up. So I think it's very important, and I know I'm looking forward to it. And is there anything like that you would want to share with businesses who are kind of looking for a revamp or who are growing, and they like, look, we need to really take a look at our website. We really need to look at, is all of our branding coming together and, displaying the certain virtues that we want as a business, or is it all kind of just like, hey, we needed a last minute website, here it is. How important do you think that is for businesses and corporations now more than ever, since you might not have that much foot traffic in your office or your stores?
Yeah, exactly. No, I 100% agree. And so typically when people go to look for anything, they're going to go to Google first, and then of course your website. So Google is just as important, like Google My Business and stuff like that. But the website alone, if it's not easy to navigate, if it's not quick, easy, they have to grab your attention like in 2 seconds, they're going to just leave your website. So really making sure that it's powerful and it has that clear message, clear call to action, easy navigation, just making sure that the images and the graphics are just eye-catching and then consistent and cohesive with the brand. That's probably the most important stuff for sure. And always let them know that you can contact you. Always having those resources and tools on a website would probably be the biggest thing for sure.
Yes. And another thing, when you brought up Google, the SEO, I don't know too much about it. The search engine optimization, I guess that's what it is. That plays a big role. And I remember working at ComDoc. If I would search ComDoc, our website wouldn't even pop up first. It would be our competitors that must have paid to get that happen. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? So, everybody goes to Google. So you have to take that into consideration. And you have to get someone who knows this stuff. Going to a cookie cutter website, yes, it might be easy for you to design, but then there's a lot of stuff you're missing out on, like that.
Absolutely.
So
exactly. SEO, I mean, that's a whole other topic in itself. And a lot of times people can say they're serving you SEO, but if it's not helping you in gaining traffic, it's not really doing anything. So I always say be careful with SEO, but you definitely need it because it needs to be inside your website and everything. So when you hire somebody to do your website, a lot of times they will either say, hey, do you want SEO included? Do you want it, separate? Like, how do you want that? Because that will really help you with the Google searches as well as if you don't want to do the paid advertising.
Gotcha. And it's funny, all this stuff is probably, I don't want to overwhelm a lot of my listeners, but it's something that's important moving forward. If you want your business to thrive, you have to take this stuff in consideration. One other question that I'm thinking of is, so we went over the website design and all that. I've always, I try to think of a logo for myself. I've always just been stuck looking at a blank sheet of paper or in Adobe, just like, what in the heck do I do? Where I know you've went to college and you got your degree and all that, but I feel like there's got to be some other factors that come into it when a brand's just like, or a company's like, hey, we want a logo. Like, do you have to, I don't know how artists work, but do you have to do like sketches? You have to have some words or something that kind of gets your mind going?
For me, I don't really need, sometimes it's like words. Like we go through a huge questionnaire to figure out all the basics. And then the other thing is like color theory. Colors could represent different things for different emotions, feelings, all of that. So if you think about like the color red, it shows emergency, think of the ER, like just knowing all of that stuff so that it can be portrayed into your brand based on your audience. That's kind of the back end of things. And when people say, I want a logo, I'm like, okay, a logo is great, but you need a brand, right? Like a logo is not really going to get you what you need. A logo is just a logo. You need to have that brand. You need to have those icons, those colors, those graphics, all the different variations for the logos. And then knowing which words to use and how to use them and what's your personality. There's just so much more to it than just saying, oh, I need the logo. So when we go through the questionnaire, there's so many questions in there. We talk about competitors. We kind of get a feel for where they're at and what their message behind their brand even is. I mean, mine is about images, so I turn people's visions into images. So understanding that and having that be portrayed into my brand is critical, and that's what I do for all of the people that I work with. Nice.
So when did you begin your business?
About 4 years ago.
Nice. Okay. Now, if I'm starting a business right now and I want to become a company that has to do with, graphical design and designing websites, what, I guess, tools or what resources do you think are must-haves that you have to, I guess, think about or master? It's all good. Tell him it's the last question. It's the last question. Tell him it's the last question.
All right. What's your last question?
So if I'm starting a company right now and it's, based around graphical design, logos, branding, website design and stuff like that, what are some resources or tools or skills that you think that are must-haves before you think about, putting your name out there as someone who can actually complete projects for companies and corporations?
Well, I don't know about classes and stuff. I mean, there's probably so many classes online. I would say just to be able to kind of do some training and some YouTube courses and stuff like that, just figuring out what it is and how to do it. I don't recommend using like Canva. I use all Adobe products. So that's kind of, Canva and all those other platforms you have to be careful of because they have copyrights on stuff. And they won't let you have a logo and say it's yours and all that fun stuff. So you really want to understand like the legal stuff if you really want to have a business necessarily. Everybody has to start somewhere, but you just want to be careful with those things. But Adobe Creative is where I would absolutely start. I would become familiar, even if you don't get the programs because they are expensive. Just watch the videos and see how to do it, and understand like the layers of the layers in graphics and learn all of those terminology. I mean, that's probably the biggest starting point of what somebody is selling. I mean, go ask people, pretend you're their customer, and just go ask them what they charge for XYZ, what they get with that, all that fun stuff. I mean, we used to do that when we were in the agency world as like a joke, just to kind of see what our competitors were doing. They didn't know it was us, but it helps to kind of see what they're doing and where they're at. I think these are all good starting points.
Nice. Well, I appreciate you joining us. Is there anything else you feel like you need to share? I can post, or not post, but link your socials and website and stuff in the description so people know where to find you.
Sure, thank you.
But is there anything else you feel like you want to share or talk about before we do wrap it up?
No, I don't think so at all. Thank you so much for letting me come on. It was great to kind of chat and talk about all of those exciting things.
Yes. Well, I love talking to people that have, interest in stuff I do, even if I don't know as much as them.
Absolutely.
But I feel like I learned a lot from you, and I appreciate that today.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. So, I appreciate having you on. I appreciate all the viewers, coming back to the channel. We appreciate all the 5-star reviews, and we appreciate if you would hit the subscribe button. And we'll see you next Tuesday. Peace.
I got a crib by the water. Say me casa, su casa. It feel like Casablanca. Shawty, you my little mama. I got a crib by the water. Say me casa, su casa. It feel like Casablanca. Shawty, you my little mama. She be on that Henny. I like that Corona.